Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself. I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, happy Monday to you. Thanks for being with us.
Is it really a happy Monday?
Happy Monday to you.
Is there anybody listening right now that's happy?
Happy Monday to you.
If you're a Utah State Aggie fan, you're probably happy.
Hey, now. You know what?
Go Aggies.
I was listening to Coach Dreiling on with Hans and Scotty today, and they were like, you got to win with grace. You got to lose with grace. We took the foot off the gas a little bit. 55-10.
It's been a while since Utah State could afford to take the foot off the
know.
gas.
I thought that's a nice thing to be able to say every once in a while, right?
They didn't even have – they were trailing at halftime to the – was it Bob Wagner they played week one?
It was Bob
They're
Morris.
playing a guy,
Bob
and
Morris.
They were losing at halftime.
Bob
Morris, I don't know.
Bobby Wagner's one of the best guys that ever played in that program.
Robert Morris.
Yeah, old Bob Morris.
So I'm glad and happy for the Aggies that they finally got a blowout win.
It's all good. I love it. They did it, and that's pretty much it, folks. That's the only ones who won over the weekend.
We're not going to talk about the Jazz and the Utes and the Cougars. We're just going to talk about the Aggies for
Hockey Club.
4 hours. About that.
Friday.
Yeah.
Rough one. God, listen, I was over there, and I'm watching this thing, and I'm going, they're going to do it, man. They're going to beat the Vegas Knights, and then it's going to be like it's going to be that rivalry born. No, and really, those guys,
it's underway.
The Golden Knights were laughing their way into the locker room.
It took two games against those guys for me to hate them.
And I do. And you know what? They're fans who live in Utah and are Golden Knights fans. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
They are to Utah Hockey Club what Lakers fans are to the Jazz.
Yeah,
they all show up in their sweaters. And they're sitting there all the way to the end, celebrating.
You know how many years? So downstairs,
too many loud Vegas Golden Knights fans in that building.
When I worked down at KSL News Radio, just down one floor, but we were up against that glass, and we would go, "Oh yeah, the Jazz are playing tonight," and you're like, "I wonder who they're playing." You give it 4.5 beats, and you'd see 19 Kobe Bryant jerseys go past, and you were like, "Okay,
you knew,
I know this guy." Where'd you grow up? American Fork, but I'm a Lakers fan. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right. We got tons to get to. What a week it's going to have to be for everybody. If you are a Utah fan, move straight to next season. And I'm not saying that I'm saying that because it feels like Kyle Whittingham and his guys have. I'm saying that because you want this season to never be etched in the book of Utah football. It's been extremely weird. We've got tons to chat about with that. But if you're a BYU fan, what could have been, right? And what could be of this team going forward? Do they use this as a jumping off point? There are so many things to break down. My goodness, JJ. Hey, welcome to the week, dude. You had a good weekend, though? You did a lot of TV, doing your thing last night. Saw you in Sly.
We started our show at, 11:45?
Yeah.
Late
one.
Thanks, Jimmy Fallon. NBC has this thing where they're trying to promote. They're using football.
And then whatever the next thing is.
To promote the Tonight Show because nobody's watching it anymore.
Right.
And so we got bumped an hour last night.
No.
And the game went long already to begin with.
Yes, it did. It almost went to overtime.
A sneaky good Sunday Night Football game, by the way. That was fun.
Yeah, the end was.
Bengals,
and you know what?
Chargers, those are fun teams to watch.
I think it was T. Higgins who almost caught that ball.
Yeah.
Going into the end zone at the very end.
Derwin Gray
knocked it away, yeah.
You're supposed to do in that situation is knock it down and forward.
Yeah. That's
away
crazy.
from the end zone.
Well, that was a fun one. We have so many things to break down. Let's start things off, though. Let's break down this BYU. The season that could have been undefeated, but it's not. But you still have quite a bit on your plate here, BYU. You got to finish it if you're going to go to that Big 12 championship game. Don't start talking about college football playoff yet. Let's get to the cut. Let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And a quick punt by Jalen Daniels. They're going to try and pin. Oh, it's loose! It's scooped up by Kansas! A cataclysmic error. Cardell sets in the backfield with Devin Neal. Casey in motion. Neal on the carry. Touchdown Jayhawks. They capitalize on that catastrophic event and punch it into the end zone to take the lead.
Yes, it was a tough one. By the way, the cut brought to you by the folks at Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's TrajanWealth.com. And G2G Bars, of course, as always, brings you the program. I wasn't that worried about that play. When I say not worried, I don't look at that and go, you've got to, what are you going to tell somebody? Hey, on that play, you've got to, what? The defender is covering a guy that we all thought was going out for a pass because who in their mind even had quick kick come up in their head? Coach Kalani Sitake said it. They did not have it. It was a brilliant call by Lance Leipold. Yep. One, because they shut the crowd up with the timeout that took 4 minutes off of the clock, or not off the clock, but it was 4 minutes of a TV timeout when the crowd was absolutely insane when it was 4th and 14. Brilliant stand by the defense. They did their job. A ball goes off a helmet. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about Jake Retzlaff throwing the non-fade fade that we've now seen 2 weeks in a row, that end in an interception 2 weeks in a row. And why wouldn't it? He threw it straight to the defender 2 weeks in a row. Now, that play Kalani described as going into the locker room as stupid. And it was. It was not. You've got to do better than that. Got to take care of the football. That was the difference in the game. Not the ball off the helmet. Not the ball off the helmet. Those things kind of happen. Don't get after Jacob Robinson. Hey, man, you should have fallen on that ball. It's like, well, he tried. But it was a very chaotic situation. You didn't know who was what. We all thought the ball went off of the Kansas guy, which I think that we initially kind of looked at. And then when we saw the replay, we went, oh, boy. That you can't help. I get it. The stuff you can help has to be buttoned up if you're going to be a college football playoff team. In fact, by the way, may you never speak of the college football playoff until you get yourself into the Big 12 championship game. The college football playoff, don't want to hear about it. There's a lot of stuff that has to get buttoned up for BYU before they can put themselves in the situation where they're going to be playing Coach Prime in the Big 12 championship game in Arlington. Arizona State has now become the biggest game on their schedule as you can imagine. The 16th team in the preseason poll versus the 13th team in the preseason poll. One is 9-1 and the other is 8-2. What a phenomenal thing football is. What an amazing job Kenny Dillingham has done. Probably the biggest turnaround in the entire Big 12, including BYU and Colorado. But lots has to get figured out before this game on Saturday for the Cougs. I don't know what to think about where things go with this offense, but they've had 22 drives. Their last 22 offensive drives, they've scored 3 touchdowns. Not good enough.
That's terrible. That's the problem. You're gonna be haunted by that punt situation that was weird. One fluke play is not going to determine the outcome of a game. You mentioned the interception in the end zone. When you end red zone drives with a pick in the end zone, that's going to cost you every time. Great teams don't let that happen. And BYU too many times this year has had to rely on a little bit of magic to get by. Oklahoma State and Utah. The magic ran out on Saturday, and it came down to execution. And their execution wasn't good enough.
Right.
It wasn't good enough on that play. That was an egregious, we talk about good Jake and bad Jake. That was bad Jake. That was a bad pass. You have to throw if you're going to go fade in the end zone, it's got to be high over the top to the outside so that the defender can't get it. And if it goes out of bounds, it goes out of bounds. But you can't throw a fade, whether it's in the end zone or otherwise, you can't throw it inside because then the DB has the advantage and they can easily intercept it. If you're going to throw the fade over the top, over the shoulder,
or you got to miss,
the outside.
Or you have to miss totally.
And
either way, you have to miss
flat.
over the top.
You've got to go high. That's how it's supposed to be thrown. Jake knows that, but he missed it. He threw a bad ball. If he would have waited a second longer or went through another progression, Keelan Marion was wide open in the back of the end zone. If you watch the replay, Keelan's jumping up and down furious, waiting for the ball to come because he was wide open in the end zone. You locked in on the fade guy. Maybe that was the call the whole time. I don't know what I'm not part of that communication. I just saw what I saw on film, and that was not the play. That was not the play. Jake Retzlaff's QBR, 28.9. It's not good enough. You didn't have a 100-yard rusher against Kansas. Kansas was 4, and I know Kansas is probably the best 4-6 team One of the best 4-6 teams.
I never want to hear that. I hate that. I hate that so much. This is underrated 4-6 team.
We warned everybody last week. This game felt like a rivalry hangover. Kansas is better than their record. Something felt off about this because BYU's been living on borrowed time recently, and their time came up on Saturday.
Do you think it was a luck running out situation then, or was it just this is what happens in a season that you are doing this well?
What happened is some of those great, crazy, wild ways to win a game masked the problems.
Yeah, but they still almost came back and won it. The play calling was abysmal at the very end.
But then that's what happened at the end. The last drive was a microcosm of everything we're talking about. The magic ran out, so when there's no magic there, you got to make a play. They didn't make a play.
You know, Kansas has been used to pooping the bed at the end of games.
No one's lost more one-score games in the country like they have.
And BYU is marching down. The best Jake is 2-minute drill Jake. But when you get to the 15 and then it suddenly stalls out, the false start penalty was obviously a killer because 4th and 11 is way different than 4th and 6. And on 4th and 6, if they would have gotten the 9 yards that they got on the 4th and 11, obviously they would have converted. So many of those things. By the way, this is your stadium and your student section that you're supposed to get in front of and not have that penalty happen. Regardless, they have so much in front of them. We just got done arguing with Rusty Keys, who is the biggest Chiefs fan on the planet, right? And he's explaining 9-1 and how bad the team is looking right now in certain areas. And I thought, yeah, but you're still 9-1. BYU fans, you're 9-1. And you still control your destiny. And frankly, this next weekend is going to be an actual test. If you're going to be a Big 12 champion type team, then you should be excited about what this game is going to entail because Arizona State is going to be ready. Arizona State is going to be the toughest team you've played probably on your schedule to this point. I don't even think it might be. They will be because if you don't think Kenny Dillingham, they are humming right now. BYU hasn't felt like they've been humming on the offensive side of football for quite some time since the UCF game, which what feels like it was a year ago. And so you should be absolutely excited about this one, BYU and BYU fans, because this will be a great litmus test to see if you deserve to be in that college football, or not just college football playoff, into the Big 12 championship game. You're going to play a team that is just like Arizona State if you're going to the Big 12 championship game. What I mean is firing out, humming on all cylinders, and if it's Colorado, if it's somebody else, you're going to have to play a really, really good team. So beat a really, really good team. You could beat your third-ranked opponent in the top 25 this week if you can get it done. And that is going to look really good on the resume. If you're 10-1 after this week and you've beaten 3 top 25 teams, then guess what? They have to look at you for something more than just the Big 12 championship. And then you can take care of business against Houston, and then everything's back on the table again.
It will be back on the table. And who would have thought when the season started that a Week 11 matchup between BYU and Arizona State would pit 2 top 25 teams with a spot in the Big 12 championship on the line? Because if Arizona State beats BYU, Arizona State's going to get that spot.
Yeah.
Now, there's still one more week left to play out. We know that. Arizona State's going to be playing their rival Arizona. We think that Arizona State's the better team. So assuming Arizona State wins out, they would win the tiebreaker over BYU. And BYU could finish 10-2 and be left out of the Big 12 championship game. They have to get things right this week. Perhaps, maybe we look back on this loss at Kansas as a necessary loss for this group to make some corrections. Because I think if BYU fan is honest and he's watching this team, he's thinking, man, the magic part of this has been fun, but this team isn't playing very good football right now. They haven't blown the doors off anybody.
Yeah.
They haven't given me any reason to think that they belong in that conversation with the college football playoff teams that they're surrounded by and ranked ahead of. We've been waiting for – I talked about it last week. I said BYU needs to blow the doors off of Kansas to prove to everybody, including themselves, that they're as good as we think they are right now. They didn't do that. And you know what? They're going to plummet. They're going to fall out of the top 10. They could probably plummet like Miami did last week. They could drop 7 spots. They could drop behind SMU and Boise State. That's something you can expect to happen on Tuesday. We will see. So this is a humbling moment for this BYU football team. It's a moment that's going to get their attention, but they have a chance on Saturday to make up for it. A win over Arizona State all but guarantees them a spot in that Big 12 championship game to take on Colorado. This is their opportunity, and it would be a shame if they don't take advantage of it because they've worked so hard and they've overcome so much, and they've proven so much to get to 9-0 this year that to end the season like on a dud would be really, really, really disappointing. We were talking about it before the show, Alex. I'm like, how do we process a BYU season where they were picked to finish 13th, but they go 9-0 to start the season, but then they finish 10-2 and not in the Big 12 championship game, and they end up going to the Alamo Bowl or something like that? How do you process that? Mm-hmm. Because you have oh my gosh, a 10-2 season in their second year of the Big 12 would be amazing, but then you take a closer look at how it ended up and unraveled at the end, and you'd be like, that does not feel good. I don't want BYU season to end up like that because they deserve better. But they need to play like they deserve better this week.
Again, this sounds like doom and gloom, but I think that we've been pretty good about, even during this run, saying, hey, BYU's found ways to win. Found ways to win is a great thing that teams have to figure out. It's also something it's not just finding ways to win. It's finding a stride that make you really, really difficult to beat. Like, that is something that I don't think anybody this year for BYU, who's followed BYU, has felt like that they are on this unstoppable freight train. The defense is phenomenal, and unfortunately, they get lost in a lot of this. They held a Kansas offense and a Jalen Daniels and a Devin Neal combination. Did you see what the rushing numbers were for Kansas at the end of this thing? I think they ran 30 times for like 60 yards. It's like 30 times for 58 yards. It was under 2, I think, a carry or close or under
2.2 yards per carry.
Insane.
33 carries, 73 yards, but they did get the 2 touchdowns.
Right. One of them was handed to them because of
their longest run from scrimmage, 11 yards, and it wasn't Devin Neal. It was Jalen Daniels.
Right, on a little scramble.
How do you lose to Kansas when you hold them to 73 yards rushing? How? Well, you fail in the red zone, and you have a fluke play happen on special teams that gives them a short field. BYU is having to kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns, and it's costing them. It was a problem at Utah, let's be honest. They had 1 touchdown against Utah. They relied on field goals and special teams for points. It came back to haunt them against Kansas because the same problem happened. They had to rely on special teams and field goals. And unfortunately, special teams bit them in the butt on Saturday night in the other direction.
It's pretty crazy to imagine that this is a conversation that we're having, and yet at the same time, look, this BYU team has been in so many ways, they've earned every win. I don't want this to sound like that they have lucked into any of this. What I do think, though, is that the team has been able to cover up some things by, again, phenomenal play by the defense. Jay Hill doing a masterful job. You held Kansas to, I think, under 250 yards. Is it 242 or something like that, or 252 maybe? I mean,
242.
When you hold a team to 242 yards, you win that game.
You had 100 more yards of total offense.
Ask Kansas State what it's like to give up only 240 yards of offense and lose 38 to 9. 38 to 9. And again, speaking of Kansas State, who thought that they were just going to be at home and have a hell of a time against Arizona State, it was the wrong hell of a time. It was the worst kind. It was one where you show up, they were down 24-0, and they were Kansas State. The one thing you can't rip on them with is that they're usually the tougher team. They got pushed around like crazy against the team that BYU has to play this weekend at their place. And their coach, all he's doing, Kenny Dillingham, is going, if you're in the Valley, show up to this freaking game. And by the way, they will. It's going to be a stadium full of a bunch of PKs. They're going to be out there watching the Sun Devils take on BYU for a shot at the freaking Big 12 championship game.
We don't have time for this conversation, but who is the Big 12 Coach of the Year?
Ooh. Prime time. You know why?
Do you believe?
I don't believe in coach.
Do you believe?
You know what I believe in is promotion. And that's exactly what Fox did this weekend when they go, oh, by the way, with big noon kickoff, we also want to mention that Coach Prime's on one of our video podcasts. Go check it out now. Every freaking break.
The teenagers call it glazing.
Oh, boy.
Fox was glazing the Buffaloes.
Oh, my gosh.
On Saturday.
They were so excited about him. All right.
Making Travis Hunter's Heisman case. Shador should be the number one quarterback.
What did Gus Johnson say? He goes, give him the Heisman now. And I was like, whoa, settle down. I don't like it. I still don't believe in Travis Hunter as the Heisman Trophy winner, but I'm one of those crazy people.
I'm a voter.
I know. And maybe you've seen all that you need because
I wouldn't say that
it's
yet.
so special.
I do think it's a two-man race.
All right.
But I won't say any more than that.
You're not allowed?
I don't think they care what I say, but
Does John Heisman's family reach out to you and say, "Don't you dare, don't you dare"?
I have dinner with the Heismans. No,
May he rest.
We meet together in the Hamptons, and we
Is that supposed to be?
They fly me out there every year.
Is that supposed to be John Heisman on the trophy himself? Because like he coached in the early 1900s, and he's like one of the historic coaches of all time. But is that actually him on the bust? All right, we'll take a break. We have not even begun to fight.
It is John Heisman.
It is on the trophy.
Yes.
All right. So I want to know your thoughts on that game, obviously, throughout the show. We're going to take you can tweet at us, at Alex Kirry KSL. JJ, what's yours? Just at Jeremiah Jenson, right?
Yes.
All right, just at Jeremiah Jenson. Easy enough. Because it used to have KSL in it, I think, at some point, and then you...
It used to be JJ Sports Beat. And we changed the branding of the show to KSL Sports Live, so it made no more sense to have JJ Sports Beat.
Yeah. Hit us up.
So I try to make it easy for everybody.
At JJ, just to get after him, okay? All right? Just tell him what you think.
Oh, absolutely. Jump on Twitter and tell me how stupid I am.
Tell me what you think. All right. We'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. We've had a whole weekend to digest it, and yet at the same time, I feel like we still haven't totally. We're going to get to Utah next, right around the corner. The things that have been discussed, obviously, up on the Hill after that loss, after the sixth loss in a row, are they going to win a game the rest of the year? That's the question. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, my goodness. Lots going on here in the studio. I just put a poll up on X here. We'll throw it out there on our KSL Sports socials. We'll do the same thing with Utah, too. But the question that I asked was, how's BYU going to finish the regular season? 11-1, 10-2, 9-3. Gut feeling, JJ, how are they going to end the regular season?
I'm terribly worried this weekend.
Oh, so you're one of those guys who voted 10-2.
I really, really hope BYU uses this Kansas loss as a wake-up call and figures some things out.
What's happened, though, the last couple of weeks in the Big 12? When Iowa State lost their first game of the season, the very next week they lost their second game of the season.
Right. It's deflating.
Kansas State had been, way up there, and suddenly they are 3 losses in conference play, right?
They're 4-3. They're pretty mid. They have the same conference record as Baylor.
By the way, Baylor, Dave Aranda, congrats. I think they're going to extend him.
He's 6-4. They're going to a bowl game.
Or at least retain him.
Why would you fire Dave Aranda if he's going to go 8-4?
That's crazy.
Because they finish with Houston and Kansas. Kansas is at home. Baylor could finish 8-4. To your point, losses can be deflating. And BYU, you have to be brutally honest. And trust me, the Cougars right now in their evaluations and film, and we'll talk to Connor Pay later in the week, they're being brutally honest right now because their performance against Oklahoma State, Utah, and Kansas hasn't been good enough at the level that they're trying to achieve. If they want to be a Big 12 champion, if they want to be a college football playoff team, the way that offense has performed 3 out of the last 4 games is unacceptable. And look, UCF's not a very, very good football team. So, I mean, they're 2-5 in conference, 4-6 overall. that shouldn't be like, oh, well, we played well against UCF. Well, everyone's playing well against UCF. No, against these other teams that are better, you didn't show what you're capable of. You didn't perform at a high enough level on the offensive side of the football. Their defense is good enough that they should have won that game. They held. We just talked about it. They held Kansas below all their season averages. They essentially held them to 10 points. You give them that gift on the weird punt thing, but other than that, I mean, they held them to 10 points. You got to be able to score more than they are. That offense is better. They have so much talent. Why are they underperforming right now? They have to figure that out. And so the fact that they are struggling offensively right now, just as I look at Utah, how is Utah going to beat anybody if they can't score? And that's exactly what's happened. They've lost 6 games in a row because they can't score. It's really simple. BYU's not scoring at a high enough rate right now for me to believe that they can go on the road against a team that is scoring a little bit better, that is playing a little bit better. Arizona State, they won 24-14 on the road. They got 24 points on the road. Week before that, 35. The week before that, 42. On the road, 24 in a 10-point win. Against Utah, 27 at home. Against Kansas, 35. That's a team. Well, they lost to Cincinnati, 24-14. They only scored 14, but there they go. They had an L. They had a bad week. That's a team that when they're winning, and right now they've won 3 in a row, they've scored 42, 35, and 24 on the road. So BYU's got to match that, and right now they haven't shown the ability to do that. How many drives have they started?
22 drives, 3 touchdowns.
Are you kidding me?
That's your last 22 drives on offense.
Are you kidding me? That's got to be fixed. And they are capable of being explosive. We have seen it from this group. They have too good of receivers and too good of running backs and too good of an offensive line to be this anemic offensively right now. They have got to figure it out. That's what gives me pause as they go down to Arizona State, a hostile environment against a team that's feeling really good about itself right now.
We'll jump into some Utah football here and how things went at Colorado. It's all brought to you by, Mitch Harper and I. We do this.
You're sponsoring this segment.
We are. Well, Macy's is, but yeah.
You had that in the budget?
It's the show that we do on Sundays. Mitch Harper and I are BYU insider for KSLSports.com. We do a Big 12 show called First and 12 every Sunday, 10 to noon. Brought to you by Macy's Grocery Store. The freshest fruits and vegetables from your local farms and your local favorite brands. Macy's. Happy shopping. The Big 12 has been turned not just on its head. Colorado. What are Colorado's last 2 games? I know their last game is Oklahoma State at home.
Right. They're at Kansas.
And they're at Kansas this week. Hey, you think they're not watching that film and going, uh-oh, this is the best 4-6 team in the country, you guys?
Oh, I hope they'll have the same stuff, and
they better.
They'll beat Kansas.
Shedeur Sanders is
They're
gettable.
Too explosive.
He's gettable, though. He makes some mistakes. He threw that ball straight to Lander Barton first play of the game. And, man, to not be able to capitalize on that, and then when did you see when he took that snap, when Shedeur Sanders took that snap, it hits his hands, he bobbles it and puts it on the turf and then just watches it because he's like, I'm not going to jump in there.
He's not going to get hurt.
I got this watch.
He's not taking that risk.
I got this nice watch. And I was like, no, you got to be kidding me. And then they can't punch it in there either. You get 2 turnovers inside your opponent's 30-yard line, and you kick 2 field goals.
Exactly.
It's a hard place to be.
You're rolling a true freshman quarterback out there with the flu. You just don't have a chance.
So tell me what the reality is. So when you watch this game, let's break down a little bit what the 49-24 was. I feel bad because the defense played better than 49 points.
Yeah.
But it is what it was. I mean, it's just they scored 49 points, and I know that Coach Prime and his guys are going, we scored 49 points against one of the best defenses, not just in the Big 12, but in the country. And because the defense is not Utah's problem right now, it's really – and I know that Travis Hunter, fine, he looked great. I still am not a huge believer. I know that everybody's like, we've never seen something like this in college football. I'm like, yeah, I know that playing 130 snaps is impressive. I know that he's a great defender, and I think he'll actually – if he's smart, he'll go play defense in the league. He's not going to play offense. Please don't. Like – that guy is going to earn way more money in the league as a corner than I think he's going to.
Day one he walks into the NFL and he's probably one of the top 5 or 10 quarterbacks in the NFL.
He's Sauce Gardner, right? Yeah. Like as soon as Sauce came in the league, he was immediately good. And I saw, when I watched this game, I thought how deflating it is right now to be a Utah fan and to play on that team because it's so It's so out of character. Everything is out of sorts. There are no answers, seemingly anywhere. And even in the future, because the answers that you're looking for are going to have to come next year.
Right.
Or at least, in the offseason.
You can't fix this in the last 2 games.
And we'll listen to Kyle Whittingham and Kalani Sitake's comments later in the program, but I'll summarize some of the things that happened in the press conference today. Nobody was asking about the Colorado game. Everyone wanted to know, and no one's asking about this next week necessarily either.
Does anybody even know who they play?
That's Iowa State. You know why I know? Because it was the game that I got laughed out of the building saying that they could lose to Iowa State in the preseason. That's what I said. And they were like, and I got laughed out of the building. They're looking to not lose 7 in a row. And the reality is most people in their heads are going, Utah's going to go 4-8. Because you're talking about next season already. What are your answers at quarterback? You still are getting dinged up too. That's the other thing is you don't feel like this team, the ones that are on the field, you know that the injuries have been decimating for this program over the last 2 seasons now, and they're still getting banged up, and things are still not looking right for that team. And I don't know what the Colorado game you can look at and you can build on. There was the throw to Dorian Singer over the top of Travis Wilson, over the top of Travis Hunter, that you're like, hey, Isaac Wilson. Nobody has thrown a touchdown on Travis Hunter all season long. He had given up 0 touchdowns. And they went at him, and that ball was perfect. And so if that's the future guy who you can rely on week in and week out to give yourself enough of a shot to be able to have those types of plays happen, and then you limit the mistakes, you got something here, man. You've got something here. But
they found a tight end on Saturday, too. Carson Ryan can be that guy.
What's his year in school? Is he a sophomore?
That's tough.
I know he played last year.
So he was
Alex,
at UCLA. He's a junior.
He's a junior. Okay, so he's got 1 more year next year. That'd be a nice piece, right?
Yeah. And I still believe in Landon King. Isaac missed him wide open on that seam route.
Who is your running back next year?
I don't know.
Mekhi Bernard.
Jalen Glover's not going to be. I know that. Mekhi graduates.
Mekhi Bernard moves on, and he's been like your only flash with these other guys gone.
I know they like Mike Mitchell, but I don't know.
He's not ready yet.
I haven't seen it this year. I see him running into the back of offensive linemen more than breaking plays. It's been rough. He's a young player. It's going to take some time. I mean, Charlie Vincent moves on. I don't think he was ever the answer anyway, so it's crazy. They talked about all the talent they had in that room, and like, where is it? Like, it's just they got to go out like I said today, they got to go out in the portal and basically rebuild this roster.
Kyle talked a lot about the portal. Talked a lot about, and the term shopping in the portal came up multiple times. He used that term multiple times. The offensive coordinator search came up today. And it wasn't I'm not going to think about that. You guys don't ask me that. The season's still going. I'm not going to talk about that. He could have very well said that, and I think that everyone would have assumed, okay, I'm not going to talk about that, but he's certainly thinking about it. No, he talked about it. The search is going to be on. It's going to be him. It's going to be Morgan Scalley. They're going to be looking around to see who the next offensive coordinator is going to be. And Mike Bajakian's sitting in the room going, so not me then, right?
Essentially.
So you guys are saying not me? All right, perfect. They have to do something that Kyle Whittingham hasn't done in a while, which is go way outside. Since Troy Taylor, really. I mean, Troy Taylor was a wild kind of a thought on the offensive side of things. Who knows what would have happened if that would have panned out, right?
Well, I think to some degree it did, but at the end it didn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Took that job at Sac State, and then
look what he's done since he left. I mean, he's been a successful head coach at the FCS level, and he's now the head coach at Stanford. So, I think it was outside the box, and I think you can consider it successful, even though it was short term.
Will Kyle be around for when the offense changes completely their philosophy? That it's just you got to get an offense that can score 40 points in a game. Because that's who you have at quarterback in Isaac Wilson. I still believe really he could be that guy. We've seen it. and we've seen the flashes. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll hear that sound a little bit later as well. We've got our Weekend Warriors right around the corner. Don't want to miss any of it, so stay right here. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jenson here with you, as we are every afternoon. If you miss any of it, you can go back and download the podcast wherever podcasts are found. Fine podcasts are found. And this is a fine one. Go back, take a listen. Coming up next hour, we're going to have Cole Bagley, our Utah Hockey Club insider. KSLSports.com. You can check it out. The hockey club is on the ice tonight. So you're going to get a pregame at 6 o'clock right after our show. And then it's the Washington Capitals in town. Alex Ovechkin, one of the best it's ever been. And we'll ask Cole about that. I want to know where he thinks that where he belongs on the kind of hierarchy of best hockey players in the history of the league.
Wayne Gretzky's goal record was like the John Stockton's assist record, and Alex Ovechkin's 29 away from breaking it. That's pretty incredible. And you have a chance to go see that guy tonight.
Alex Ovechkin's one of those guys that I
Don't
love.
miss it.
I love seeing with his teeth out. He looks very scary.
He looks like somebody you would not want to get in a bar fight.
But it
with.
also looks like, if you're going to draw a hockey player in your mind, like if AI draws a hockey player, it's Alex Ovechkin.
That guy survived like 30 Siberian winters. Like that guy.
That sounds like a weird drink at a bar. Give me a couple of those Siberian winters.
His circulatory system is running on vodka.
For sure. That's how he doesn't freeze, man.
Smart. He is a hockey player.
Our Weekend Warriors are brought to you by Gillette Heating and Air Conditioning. Right now, get seasonal maintenance done on your furnace. Good time to do it, too. You don't want to get left out in the cold. See GilletteHVAC.com for more information. And to make an appointment, that is GilletteHVAC.com. All right. Our Weekend Warriors, people who won the weekend here for us. Locally, of course, we're just absolutely flabbergasted by all the things that Taysom Hill's doing, including running in another touchdown. This one from 75 yards out. Here's what it sounded like.
Power for Taysom Hill, right side. Taysom still on his feet. Taysom 20-15. See you later, bye. Taysom Hill, what a day.
That's my favorite word. See you later, bye. Did he pronounce it right? See you later, bye.
Pretty good.
See you later, bye. 75 yards. He still has. How old is Taysom? 36?
34?
I'm making him older than I think than he should have been.
It's
his eighth. Is it 7th year or 8th year in the league?
It's his 8th year.
And he came in the league already at 31 years old, so he's almost 40. 30.
230 all-purpose yards, 188 yards from scrimmage, 138 rushing yards, 8 catches. His day was
phenomenal.
Just crazy. He's doing things that no NFL player has ever done before.
Is his
no one's had a day like that in NFL history.
Well,
ever.
And we've said that before for him. Like just weird numbers, strange. I mean, kudos to Sean Payton. I think there could have always been somebody like this that could have shown up in the league, but no one would ever have the patience for it.
Well, could
Sean Payton,
Tim Tebow have done this?
I think if he told
Michael
himself,
Vick?
I think if he told himself the truth, Tim Tebow, about what he was, which was not a long-term quarterback solution for any team. But you saw how much of a bruiser he was. I mean, you saw it as a Broncos fan. He would absolutely blast dudes at the goal line.
He couldn't throw the football.
Could not throw the ball.
So Taysom Hill's the first player in NFL history with 100 rush yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 50 catches, and 10 passing yards in a game.
In a game. He had 50 catches? 50
receiving yards.
Receiving yards.
8 catches.
So he had 3 touchdowns yesterday.
Right. He caught 50 yards of passes on 8 catches, and he threw a 10-yard pass. He also threw an interception, and he fumbled.
Oh,
who's done that?
You know what? I had him in the Hall of Fame. Now I can't. I can't do it in good consciousness.
You know what? He's a very unique case.
That's what I was going to say.
But if he does this for 3 or 4 more years,
Could you put him in?
There's going to be a lot of people.
No.
Look, he has a lot of respect around the league, and he's well known around the league. There's going to be a lot of players in this generation that will make the case for him. Ask Derek Carr. Derek Carr thinks he should be in the Hall of Fame. There are players that are going to start speaking out about how great what he does is in the NFL.
And how weird it is, too. It's just very wild.
If you do something in the NFL that nobody else has done, doesn't that qualify you for a gold jacket?
All right. That's going to be a discussion for another day, too. And probably in the years to come. And then finally, 2-7 Stanford. We were just talking about Troy Taylor, the head coach. They get a top 25 win for the first time in 7 years with a 52-yard field goal by Emmett Kenny. Here's what it sounded like.
So from 52 yards away from the left hash mark, Kenny exhales, puts his head down. The snap, the spot,
Long
the
enough.
kick, away, doesn't have it enough. Good! Can he kick it? Yes! He can! Buzzer! Ball game! Cardinal win!
Oh, my goodness.
Couldn't tell if he kicked a field goal or scored a goal in a hockey game.
I know you heard the train horn in the background, and all 11 fans going bonkers.
The guy calling it went from 0 to 60 real fast.
He did.
He was really.
He's like, I'm going to channel my Gus
That
Johnson
sounded
here.
really boring, and then all of a sudden the kick goes through, and he can't
some
contain
hyperbole?
himself.
I'll give it to you.
Look, I know it's been rough calling Stanford games over the last few years, but geez, dude, wake up, man.
All right, let's take a break. By the way, Gus Johnson, is there anybody else, speaking of hyperbole? When Isaac Wilson threw that touchdown, so all of the entire game, it was like, Travis Hunter, give him the Heisman now. Shedeur Sanders, something special. And then when Isaac Wilson threw that touchdown to Dorian Singer, it was Isaac Wilson over Travis Hunter. You found your quarterback, Utah. And everyone's like, Utahns are like, I'm interested. Tell me more. Tell me more. You've got your man. You've got your future.
Called him Mike Wilson, by the way.
He did like all game. I was so weird. I didn't know if he was doing it on purpose or what.
I've covered Isaac for a while. I've never heard him call anybody Mike. But
I thought Ike
you're Gus
was...
Johnson. You can call him whatever you want.
Anyway, all right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Cole Badley, our KSLSports.com Utah Hockey Club insider, going to join us next. We'll talk about all things Utah Hockey Club next. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
An opinion about replacing it, Any Hour Services technicians service all brands. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners.
97.5 KZNS FM Colville, 1280 KZNS AM Salt Lake City, and KSL FM HD2 Salt Lake City Midvale. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. With complete coverage of the Utah Hockey Club, this is Cole Bagley of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jenson. Together we make up the team that is JJ and Alex. Thanks for being with us on the show. I put the poll up. You can go check it out for yourself. And the question is, how does BYU finish this season? 11-1, 10-2, 9-3. The regular season, I'm saying. The regular season of football. How does it get there? You want to know the results so far with just, it's only been out there for about 20 minutes. A couple hundred votes. 45% lead the way saying that 10-2 is going to be where BYU ends up. 39% 11-1. Then you have the Eeyores out there, as you call them, right? It was like you got the Eeyores and you got the Tigers. Yep. And the Eeyores are at 16% right now at 9-3. So there you go. Well, this team's never going to win again.
Oh.
All right.
Hey, independence is over, man. One loss doesn't mean your season's over.
And on top of that, pretty damn good year.
Yeah.
Come on. Let's jump out to the phone lines here before we do. Our program is always brought to you by G2G bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G bar perfect for anybody who needs that quick, tasty, and nutritious boost. Let's jump in with a cut here and chat with our Utah Hockey Club insider, Cole Bagley. Let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And the cut brought to you this hour by the folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships. Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, they're going to take care of you. And by the way, this Friday we're going to be out at the Mitsubishi, the opening of the Doug Smith Mitsubishi in American Fork as well. So there you go. Family of dealerships, and nobody knows cars like Doug. Joining us on the program, Cole Bagley, Utah Hockey Club insider, KSLSports.com. What's going on, Cole?
Not much. How are you guys?
Oh, we're trying to figure out this hockey team, man. I mean, after they beat the Hurricanes and then they're up, what was it? Was it 2-1 going into the third period? And I was all sorts of stoked.
They're up 2-0 at one point.
They're up 2-0 at one point. I was all sorts of stoked because I have enough friends that are Golden Knights fans, and I use that term with the quotes. And they were talking trash via text, and I was like, "Come on, man!" And then when it was 2-1, silence. And then suddenly things got real sloppy. It was quite a weird third period. What was the vibe in the arena? Because it felt like it just went downhill very, very quickly, and everything fell apart very, very fast for this hockey team on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it was top of the world to kind of shell-shocked a little bit, but this is to be expected from this team just based on the roster, where they're at in terms of the rebuild and developing. It's exactly what General Manager Bill Armstrong said was going to happen this year, whereas some nights, like against the Carolina Hurricanes, you're going to watch this team and you're going to go, my goodness, this team is the best squad in the NHL. We're going to win the Stanley Cup. And then other nights, they're going to collapse like they did against Vegas. It's the second time that's happened, and multiple times this year where, they've blown a lead and ended up with 1 point or no points. And, that's just how it goes, because there's a couple things about this roster right now. First of all, they're so young. Think about the stars on this team: that Dylan Gunther, Logan Cooley, Michael Kesselring, Matthias Michelli, Maverick Lamoureux. These are young stars that haven't played in the NHL very long. Now, they're very good, and their ceiling is incredibly high, but they have a lot of experience to gain. Second of all, they're not getting as much help from some of the veterans. There's a couple guys on this team that haven't quite played up to their norm. Guys that were top of the points ladder last year, and they need to figure things out. And coach should recognize that. And then third, Mikhail Sergachev talked about in the post game that this team just respects other teams, the opposition, far too much. They don't keep their foot down on the gas pedal for a full 60 minutes a night, and that's what they're working on. So this is how I think this season is going to go, at least for the next, couple of months, as they try to figure themselves out and gain consistency. But one thing to be confident in is, despite kind of the back and forth that they're doing, they've progressed every game this year.
One of the questions I have after this week is, who should start between the pipes? I mean, the goalkeeper situation. Karel Vejmelka was awesome against the Hurricanes, got a standing ovation at the end of that game. Where should they go with that? Where do things currently stand with that between Connor Ingram and Karel Vejmelka?
Yeah, I mean, today Coach Bear said that, Ingram is still, their number one guy. But I think the rotation is starting to evolve a little bit. I think what we've seen from Vejmelka, in my opinion, I think Vejmelka right now is the better goaltender. And in the NHL, a lot of times you like to ride the hot glove, and for me, that's Vejmelka. Now Ingram is starting tonight, and that's normal. They go back and forth between goaltenders all season. Even the more elite goaltenders are not playing, every single night. They need breaks every once in a while. So, but I think, like I said, I think the rotation is going to start to change if Vejmelka can keep it up. Based off what we've seen, I think he has a better skill set. I think he's faster. I think he has better reflexes, better reactions to shots. I mean, the game against Carolina where he has 49 saves, that's just unheard of. And, he still had a good game against Vegas. They won 4-2, but one of them was an empty netter. And the other two 2 of the 3 were on power plays against the second best power play unit in the NHL. So, Ingram's still the top guy for them. But like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if we start to see more rotation where we're seeing Vejmelka and Knight more than, every 3 or 4 games.
Obviously, one of the things that we get excited about is anything new and shiny in this hockey season. And we'll get to the jerseys in a minute because those are brand new and shiny. But the Caps coming to town, the Washington Capitals, and Alex Ovechkin, of course. This was one of the moments where, Ovechkin's going to be in Salt Lake City, man. We were having this discussion earlier off the air, and I think a little bit on the air too, JJ and I, about where does Alex Ovechkin stand on that Mount Rushmore of NHL history, or where is it that he's going to end up at the end of his Hall of Fame career, because he's been one of the best, he's lasted for a long, long, long time, and he's still going.
Yeah. I think he's an honorable mention on the Mount Rushmore. I followed Ovechkin for pretty much his entire career. Him and Sidney Crosby came into the league about the same time, and I'm a big Sidney Crosby fan. So I've watched many, many games between those two. It's one of the greatest, I think, player-to-player rivalries in the NHL. They're very different, but they've played against each other countless times in big games, especially in the playoffs. And, they each had to go through one another to win cups. Ovechkin, at the end of the day, is going to probably end up as the all-time leading goal scorer, which is fantastic. I think, records are made to be broken. I know that Wayne Gretzky has told him to go and break it. So that's very exciting. But aside from that, he's got 1 cup, which is awesome. But I think that's what keeps him more in the honorable mention category than on the Mount Rushmore, just because, you got to win. And he has won. But, guys like Sidney Crosby, he's got 3. Wayne Gretzky's got multiple cups. So I think, that's the measure of being on Mount Rushmore is, obviously great individual talent, but learning how to win is a big deal. It's why, people are still kind of weary of putting McDavid in that conversation because, he hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet. So, winning cups and getting your name on that thing definitely go a long way, but he's still an unbelievable player. I talked to Olli Mata today, who played for the Penguins, won 2 cups, and played against Ovechkin many, many times. And he said that the amazing thing about Ovechkin is that everybody knows where his spot is. It's on that left face-off circle. It's a one-timer. But the fact, what separates him from everybody else is the fact that everyone knows his spot, and yet he's still able to consistently score from that position. And the fact that he's 39 years old and is doing this is unbelievable.
Well, you look at the Capitals, and as we prepare for tonight's game and look ahead to tonight's matchup with Washington, obviously people are going to have their eyes on Ovechkin, but this Washington Capitals team was not supposed to be this good. 12-4-1 this year. When it comes to surprises in the NHL this year, Cole, where does Washington rank?
I'd say potentially up at the very top. One of the top teams in terms of surprising people. I mean, they weren't very good last season. They barely made the playoffs, and then things got they got dominated pretty quick in the first round. But they've just had. First off, Ovechkin is premier Ovechkin right now. I mean, the fact that he's 39, but he's playing like he's 28, 27, 28 is incredible. And, they've got some decent veterans that have been there for a while, and, Nicholas Backstrom and John Carlson and, of course, Ovechkin. And then they're just getting, Tom Wilson, but then they're getting, really good play from, guys like Lars Eller and Lapierre. And just, top to bottom, this team is just playing super, super good. And, they're one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. I think they're the second or third best team in the Metropolitan and one of the top, they're the third team in the Metropolitan, which is the best division in the NHL right now, and fourth in the Eastern Conference. So, the Utah will have their hands full yet again tonight.
What are the injury statuses of this team right now? I know that, we're getting an idea as to how these seasons kind of shake out, and just like every professional sport, you get you get dinged up, but then there's also the part where you get the cruddy long-term injuries, things like that. What's this team dealing with from a health perspective right now?
Yeah, for the most part, they're okay. After all that the injuries that they sustained to the blue line. Marino is John Marino's making progress. We've seen him around the practice facility, but it's slow progress. He's doing he's walking and doing slight resistance training. So it's not like he's anywhere close to coming back. I'd stay probably still in that 3 to 4 month range, maybe closer to 3 months. And then in terms of Jersey, I've seen him again around the practice facility. Saw him this morning in street clothes on the bench. So, he's supporting the team. He's at the games, he's at the practices, he's letting his voice be heard. But yeah, he's far away. I think he's 4 to 6 months out. I think his return will be determined based on how this team is doing down the stretch. If they're in the hunt for a playoff spot, coming into later February, early March, and they need him back, there will probably be discussions about that. But if they're out of the race and there's no point to bring him back, then they'll probably just save him and have him rest up over the summer to prepare for next season. So yeah, aside from those two, they're in good shape right now. Sergachev took one off the helmet couple games ago, but he's fine. And Kesselring took a puck to the wrist last game, but he's fine. Hockey players are tough. So unless it's something really serious, it's not the NBA. Hockey players are just a different breed.
Oh, how dare you take a swipe at those gentlemen?
Why is the NBA catching your strays?
Everybody knows. They're like, could you imagine Bear coming on and going, "Oh yeah, he's gonna take a load management day." It's like, no, no such thing in hockey.
We got our first line taking load management today.
Come on. Oh my goodness. All right, Cole Bagley, our Utah Hockey Club insider, KSLSports.com. Appreciate you coming on here with us, Cole, of course, as you do every Monday, and jamming about this Utah Hockey Club. Awesome one tonight. Oh, before we get out though, how quickly did they sell out of those jerseys? Are there still any available?
Yeah, there's still some jerseys available, but it was a scene like I have never really witnessed before. It was like the Hunger Games in there. People were going crazy. The jerseys, the ones with player names and numbers, sold out in about 10 to 15 minutes. And I even talked to a few people afterwards. I was like, "Oh, you got Sean Dursey, or you got Maverick Lamoureux, or you got Michael Kesselring. Why'd you grab those guys?" And they're like, "Honestly, I just wanted one with a name and a number." So, people went crazy for them. They're phenomenal. They look awesome. I tried both on, and they're great. They're still available. Customizations though are on a brief hold as far as adding more, because I was told they had more than 1,000 customization orders over the weekend. So
gotta let them catch up.
They've got to catch up. So wear those blanks, wear them proud. They look awesome. It makes Delta Center feel a lot more like an NHL arena. And in a couple weeks, you can put the player of your choice on the back. And I know there will be more drops throughout the season. So if you don't get this round, there will be more.
That's awesome. All right, Cole Bagley, Utah Hockey Club insider for KSLSports.com. Thanks, Cole. We'll chat with you again, man.
Hey, yeah, thanks, guys.
There you go. $250, by the way, for those.
Not cheap, but man, are they beautiful.
It's the equivalent of like trying to buy a car during COVID. It's like, oh, you want that? Well, normally it's $25,000, but for you, $32,000.
Supply and demand.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but you know what? What was crazy was on Friday to see how many sweaters were in that Delta Center over there. I have a hard time calling it the barn still. I know it's like that barn over there is full. I don't know. I feel
hockey,
like I know, but I feel like I'm faking being Canadian or something. Man, you saw that old barn filled up there, eh? I don't know. I don't want to fake it. I want to be the guy who goes, "So I've been saying barn my whole life."
It's calling the soccer field a pitch. You're not going to do that. That's not. You're not going to give in. You're not going to give in to the English soccer guy.
That was a great soccer game.
The match on the pitch. You're not going to give in while they're wearing their kits. You're not going to give in.
And their football boots. It's not cleats, they're boots.
Utah Hockey Club's wearing their sweaters in the barn.
Okay, all right.
Get on board, Alex.
Well, the nicest barn you've ever seen. Hot dogs are pretty expensive at the barn. All right, we'll take a break here. Oh, no, actually now they got the $3 ones. Watch out, okay?
That's right.
We'll take a break. We've got tons more around the corner. When we return, let's jump back in. We've got tons to break down from the weekend. Don't want to miss any of it. Stay here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming. Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time!
All season long and even in the off season, it's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The newfangled John Tesh theme from NBC.
I thought we deleted that out of the system. It's blasphemy.
I want to know if it's him who's actually...
Unless it's Eddie Van Halen, get that out of here. John Tesh tickles the ivories.
This is supposed to be... Well, but this is what he delivered to NBC. They're all, we need something fresh, new. He goes, tell you what I got. And then he called one of his session band member friends and goes, can you lay down this fat track for me? That's the new one. That's the one you got to get used to. You're going to be introing NBA on NBC one of these nights and tossing to that song on television.
I know. I'm not happy about it. Bring back the Tesh Brothers.
It's your new life.
There are lyrics in that song, you know.
Oh, yeah. But that's why, though, because it's just great writing. Really good lyricists are the Tesh Brothers.
Basketball. Gimme the ball because I'm going to dunk it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's poetry right there. The Utah Jazz. Hey, on Saturday night, you got exactly what you wanted from this team. The close loss, right? The close loss.
Hey, mission accomplished. Well done, Jazz. They know the assignment.
But I will say that there is I guess it wasn't that close. It was only an 11-point loss compared to some of the 20-point losses that we've seen. But you know, I don't know what to think about the development of these guys yet. And I know that Isaiah Collier's getting a lot of he's had to answer the call. I like his game. I think that a lot of people – it's really funny when you saw these drives. You have people who are Cody Williams on Team Cody Williams. You have people who are on Team Kyle Filipowski. I think you had fewer people on Team Isaiah Collier, right? Like that was the thought was, he's a man. He's strong. He's really good, but he doesn't shoot very well.
Yeah, and that's fair.
And Isaiah Collier gets 26 minutes. He gets 8. He got 8 assists, led the team in assists, and I thought, okay,
2 steals,
couple steals. I thought that was nice. You know what I mean? Like while your team isn't totally figuring things out yet and gelling quite yet, and when you're still getting almost 20 minutes from Drew Eubanks, you're going to lose a lot of games. But I will say that Isaiah Collier is one of these guys that I'm not looking at him and going, man, this guy's terrible. I'm looking at him and I'm going, I think there's a lot to work with there. And we talked with Thurl about that last week, and he really likes what Isaiah Collier is doing. So Kyle Filipowski, 13 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds in 24 minutes. He's also another guy that I think people are pretty darn excited about. And he got the call to get the start the other night. And obviously you've got to show up and show out. No better way to develop in the league than actually playing in the league.
No doubt about that. And he's getting that shot. Well, an interesting thing happened last night, though, is that Isaiah Collier started the second half, right?
Yeah.
And why was that? Because Keontae George wasn't playing very good defense.
Struggling, yep. Mm-hmm.
And so, hey, that's a bummer because you need to see that. That's what we want to see these guys develop and get better. And obviously there's going to be ups and downs, highs and lows. But what I like about that is Will Hardy is not going to just roll these guys out there just because they're the young players and because that's the whole point here. He's going to make sure that they're held accountable when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And I think that Will Hardy did that last night. That Keontae George was not playing on that side of the court at the level it needed to be given, and he made that change to make a point. Like, Will Hardy's doing a great job managing the situation. It's not an easy situation. Like, can we please see Will Hardy at some point with a contender? Because I would really be curious to see what he could do with that. But right now, this is the assignment, and this is what he's having to do, and he's signed up for it. He has a 5-year contract. But I like that he's being consistent about this. He did not let Keontae George get away with not playing a defense. And it gave an opportunity for Isaiah Collier to go out there and get some more minutes. And I thought he took advantage of it. I thought he was really good. He had a season high in minutes. And he did a lot of those things we just talked about. He's active on the defensive side. He got a couple steals. So put some pressure on these guys to perform at a higher level. Just because We know what the assignment is this year. Doesn't mean these guys can't be held accountable to play at a higher level and get better and improve.
How do you think Lowry's playing this year? The most down points-wise for him in his career that he's been here as a Jazz man. Obviously, his first year was an all-star season. Last year, a little bit less and also dinged up a little. Dinged up a little bit at the beginning of this year. He's only played in and I think how many games has he actually played in
this year?
Yeah,
10.
He's played in 10 games of the 13, and I wonder I wonder where his head's at. You know what I mean? At some point, like, do you have to babysit his feelings all the time and be like, "How you feeling about this?" Because
you know how you babysit his feelings with $200 million. That's how you babysit the feelings. Okay. The Utah Jazz don't need to worry about that. They paid him.
Yeah.
Lowry knew what this was.
Yeah.
And it sucks that his numbers are down. It's early in the season. 10 games in, he has had the injury issue, but he has a history of that. He's never played an 82-game regular season. The most games he's ever played in a season in his career was 68 in his rookie year, and then 66 his first year with the Jazz. Other than that, he's in the 50s.
Yeah, he's missed double-digit games every year.
So this is pretty par for Lowry. Yeah, you do worry about the dip in the numbers. The scoring numbers down 6 points. That's not good. The three-point percentage is way up.
Yeah, he's been shooting better.
He's a 39% three-point shooter his first 2 years with the Jazz. 39.9 last year. He's up to 45.6.
That's not bad.
So not bad. That's elite.
Catch and shoot guy, man.
So
that's why you got him.
That's good. The rebounds are down by 2. Maybe that's something as well to look at. But I think that looking at his scoring average right now after 10 games is probably a little premature. I think he's fine. I think he is the best player on the team. No doubt about that. Is he going to get an all-star nod? Not at 17 points per game. And with this team being the worst team in the West, that's also, I think he pretty much knows that. So, yeah, I'm fine with Lowry one way or the other because he's done nothing to show us that he's gotten worse. It's just a situation that's a little odd to be in if you're a vet player like him. But again, he got $200 million plus. He knows what the assignment is. And soon, in a couple, 3 years, when he's still on that contract and he's still with the Utah Jazz, they're going to be able to turn around quickly because they're serious about going and getting that big-time talent that's young, and then you can pair it with some of these older guys, and I think you can turn this around pretty quickly if you're the Jazz.
So
if you hit in the lottery.
Yeah. The other night, I think when he scored, I think, what did he have, 13 against the Clippers?
Last night,
or maybe he had 13. One of the games this weekend, he had a pretty nice game. And
it was 18 last night and 10 rebounds.
Yeah,
he was 4 of 8 from 3.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So over the last...
In a game where they were losing by 20 most of the time. They cut it down to 7 in the fourth quarter, but they were never a threat.
So over the last 4 games, he's averaging 14 points a game and 7 rebounds.
They never led last night.
57% from the 3-point stripe in the last 4 games for Kyle Filipowski. He's overperforming at this point, right?
Oh, yeah. I think that's the biggest surprise positively for the Jazz. I think we thought it was going to be Cody Williams. No, it's Kyle Filipowski. He's a first-round pick that they got in the second round. And this is what this process is all about, right? You think you know something. Like you think you took a guy at 10 who you think is going to be the better player, and it turns out the guy you got at 33 is the guy that you actually think that might end up being a better long-term player. I don't know. It's still early. Like, I'm not saying that.
I don't think people have...
I'm not trying to write off Cody Williams.
No.
What I'm saying is you didn't expect Kyle Filipowski to be in this position where now he's starting and he's giving you starter production. 13 points in 24 minutes is pretty darn good. I think we'd like to see him have a little bit more rebounds, but where he plays in the floor and where he's more offensively minded, maybe that's not possible. He went 0-4 from 3 last night. That didn't help them. But if you look at the great picture, like overall what he's been able to do with the minutes he's got this season, you got to be really high on Kyle Filipowski and think, man, that was a really, really nice pick that late. And in a month from now, we might be having that same conversation about Isaiah Collier.
Well, and there'll be moments too where we go, remember when Kyle Filipowski was doing well and he kind of hits a little bit of a slump, and then how does he react?
It's hard to get excited about anything long term right now.
Yeah.
So it's just there's going to be the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs. We see like Keontae George. Are we concerned about Keontae? He got benched in the second half for not playing defense. He was 1 of 8 from 3.
One of the more inconsistent guys on that roster, right?
But he's young. It's like, how do we judge this? And the Jazz have a really tough task here to try to figure out who fits and who doesn't into the future. And I honestly think that the past 2 lotteries are not going to be as important as the next 2. And that sucks to hear. And it's going to require a lot of patience as a fan. But the Jazz are just starting this rebuild. And I'm not even sure how many of these guys in the last 2 drafts are going to be a part of their future. Because I think they're going to be more focused and more invested in the next 2 drafts.
All right. Let's take another break.
Cooper Flag sweepstakes.
I don't even want to think about
that. And then A.J. DeBansa.
The amount of money. Hey, maybe you're trying for a Cooper Flag and then whoops, you accidentally get Igor Demin when you don't win the
That's
Cooper Flag
really
race.
good consolation prize based on what I've seen in Provo so far.
What was he? The Big 12 Newcomer of the Week or something like that? It was something along those lines.
It'll be that every week. I'm telling you, he's legit. We've never seen a freshman at BYU like him.
What's his reality on a draft? Is he a top 5 guy, top 10?
It just depends on how this season goes.
Because it's already a deep class, and he's not really.
That's going to push him down a little bit. So probably not top half, but I think bottom half of the lottery for sure.
All right.
I don't see there's no way he's staying unless he loves college life. He's a one and done, and he's going to be a lottery pick. Not many players that are 6'7" can do what he does. There's a lot of NBA teams that are watching and being like, we could really use him.
All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll come back. We've got our Sucks to Be You. People from the weekend who absolutely wish that they did not have the things happen to them that had happened to them. We've got tons across the entire world of sports. The people who didn't win the weekend. We talk about that with the Weekend Warriors. The people who lost the weekend. So stay here. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Basking in the sports misfortune of others to help make you feel just a little bit better about yourself. As JJ and Alex present.
Yes, we got beat. We got beat badly.
It sucks to be you.
Oh, way too upbeat of a song for all the people who are lonely in their sports world. I do love this song.
What song would fit for this segment?
I'm sorry, so sorry. Just like the most depressing song ever. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how if like what fan base is doing worse this week. What's interesting is that the Utes lose 5 in a row, and so you're already down. And so the 6th in a row to a Colorado team that feels like they're getting all the attention on the planet.
Utah fans checked out at this point. All they care about is who's going to be the new offensive coordinator.
Seems like that's what Kyle's worried about, too. Probably the biggest thing they're worried about. I'd be worried about how Isaac Wilson is going to get developed into the guy. How do you fix all of the early college football trauma that he's had?
What damage has been done?
I know. And what's – like, honestly –
if that young man's able to overcome all this and he's that mentally tough, like, wow. Because this has not been easy.
It might be tough to and maybe I don't know where his head's at. It's not like, but I mean, it might be tough to convince a kid like that to come back.
Where does it go though?
So don't know, but also the way that you keep him is you make sure that whatever your next offensive coordinator hire is, it's somebody that is, and obviously you have to do something. You have to make a hire that's not just thinking of Isaac Wilson in the future. It's thinking about how you're going to draw quarterbacks in for the future, which are guys who want to score a bunch of points, guys who want to light up the stat sheets. And that's never really been Utah's vibe at quarterback. I mean, in a long time, right? Like, let's light up the stat sheet and see. Let's get 330 yards of passing yards every week.
Cam Rising had some of those moments, but for the most part, it was about
he was a 230, 240 kind of guy.
Yeah.
That was kind of his wheelhouse game.
He wasn't out there like Mike Leach offense throwing the ball 50 times.
Rush for 62 yards
Tyler
and a
Huntley
touchdown.
was a dual threat. Like, it's
right. And I'm telling you.
And that was as much as Utah's ever opened up their offense since I've been covering them for 20 years. Was the Tyler Huntley 2019 team. They could run and throw it.
I wonder if they're going to get wild with it. Well, we'll hear a lot of sound obviously next hour from the two coaches. But here's what we got. Here's what we got going on here. our ability to be able to break down some of the people who absolutely stunk it up over the weekend. Sucks to be these people, okay? I will say Jake Retzlaff to start things off because you can go from high to very, very low very quickly in this game.
You want national interviews, you want all the praise and all this attention and stuff, and then if you don't deliver, then you're going to get criticism. That's part of the deal at BYU if you're the quarterback. And guess what? On Monday today, you're getting the criticism.
I'll throw in a little bit of A-Rod, too, who took a ton of strays on Saturday night on social media. Everybody going, this is why you got to fire A-Rod.
That's a bit extreme.
It's wild because this is the first loss of the season. The offense has been kind of stagnant the last couple of games.
Everybody has a bad game.
Oh yeah.
I don't think offense. I didn't. There was a lot I didn't like about what BYU did on Saturday. But that's not like fire the offensive coordinator. You're 9-1. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Sucks to be the Bengals who keep getting like really, really good performances out of Joe Burrow.
They're down 21 and they come back to take the lead, and then they can't make a field goal at the end.
McPherson.
Like they find the most interesting ways to lose games.
Yeah, and
have you seen his number? Like
Joe Burrow's numbers are amazing.
In losses,
it's like 340 yards, 3 touchdowns.
2 picks.
Yeah, he throws. Last night the same thing. He threw 340 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
And they lose the football game. Now, on the flip side, your division mates, the Chargers, might ruin things for your Broncos,
I think the Chargers are the team that nobody wants to play in the playoffs this year in the AFC.
And remember, they have no weapons, right? That was this. They have no. Like Justin Herbert has nobody to throw to now.
Jim Harbaugh just wins. Like he just knows what he's doing. Like they're running 2 fullbacks out there or something. Like they're using fullbacks.
Aaron Rodgers, sucks to be him.
Oh my gosh,
at 3-8 now. You lose to Anthony Richardson, who everybody had already kind of put out of the league this week.
Zach Wilson's just standing there in Denver cackling.
Why not?
You thought it was me. You thought it was me, Jets fans. Sucks to be you.
And then finally, it sucks to be all of us who tuned in to Tyson v. Paul on Friday night on Netflix.
What a bunch of garbage.
Did you watch it?
I'll be honest, I did tune in out of curiosity.
Gosh,
I
got sucked in.
I'm just like, everybody wants to watch a train wreck, and I wanted to watch the train wreck, and all I got to see was Mike
Tyson's butt.
Like, that was not what I wanted. I am so sick of the Paul brothers marketing scams that people keep falling for. Like, all these kids are drinking Prime. It's garbage. We're tuning into some of this stuff. Like their YouTube videos are garbage.
You got to admit they do it pretty well.
Is garbage. Yet they're making millions of dollars off of us like we're stupid. Like they are the biggest con artists currently out there right now. And I say that as a compliment.
As lovingly as possible.
Because that was garbage.
It was terrible.
Jake Paul's not a good fighter.
Yeah. And
he's fighting professionally.
Neither's Mike Tyson, obviously.
Mike Tyson's 60 years old.
I know.
He can barely stand up.
By the end of the
what are we doing here?
By the end, he was just holding his gloves up, and it looked like he didn't even know where he was. I know, obviously, he was just trying to get through that thing, but
how did
$20 million for that payout? I think
it was free for me. Well, not free. I have Netflix.
Right, we already have
Netflix.
Right,
it's part of your T-Mobile bill or whatever. Like you're all paying for it, but you don't know you're paying for it. So it's not like I dropped $50 to watch this. But
luckily,
how much did the people that went drop on it? Like, how much did Charlize Theron pay for her seat?
They kept showing her. They're like, "This is the only legitimate celebrity we have here."
What is she doing there?
Social
it was
media.
her and Shaq and Gronk. Like, what is going on here? And then people filled Jerry World to watch that crap. That was dumb. I was embarrassed for Mike Tyson, but you know what? He's laughing all the way to the bank because he got $20 million for it.
I'm glad.
Now he can pay for somebody to take care of his Bengal tiger.
Look, when you're...
Was that just in the movie?
I think it's just in the movie. No, I think so. No, he's a pigeon guy, remember?
Oh, is he?
He's a bird guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has their hobbies.
I think he has a residence still in Vegas, he does a show or whatever. And I think that they have to keep his birds on the roof of like whatever hotel it is that he works at or that he does his shows at. That was part of the deal. So there you go. Mike Tyson, we hardly knew ye. I just wish that I wish that he could have gone out not having to be associated with Jake Paul.
I agree. That was embarrassing.
So weird.
It felt like they were exploiting somebody for monetary gain. It felt dirty. Again, the con man thing. It just feels like it's the big con. Bad people. Sorry.
Wow. It's turned into they're terrible people. I love it.
Show me otherwise.
I don't necessarily think you're wrong. All right, here's what we've got. It's Monday, which means, of course, that DJ and PK this morning gave out their usual weekly Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers Strong Play of the Weekend. And we want to give you a $20 Amazon gift card. And if you can name off what that play was that they used this morning as their Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers Play of the Week, and you're calling number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-9663. Did they tell you what it was, Alex, by the way? Okay. Any clues? You can't be too straightforward on it. Any clues that you want to give the listener out there without totally giving it away?
Let's say that BYU is not the only team that is no longer undefeated.
All right. 801-575-ZONE. For your Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers Play of the Weekend. All right, we'll come back. We got more to go. Right around the corner. We're going to you're going to hear the sound from Kyle Whittingham this week at his weekly press conference, and you're going to hear the sound from Kalani Sitake at his weekly press conference. Stay right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar. It's packed with protein, by the way. It tastes phenomenal. You can find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and many other of your local grocers' refrigerated sections. There you go. Let's jump in this hour. JJ, we've got sound to listen to from Whit. We got sound to listen to from Kalani. So let's jump in with our head coach conversations right here at the start of the show. Let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And this portion of the show brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your local trusted financial fiduciaries. 801-899-7600, or just visit their website, TrajanWealth.com. All right, Coach Whittingham, I think may have been asked one question about the Colorado game, this weekly press conference. The amount of just moving on as quickly as you can from that game and trying to get on to the next thing, and really not just this game, but obviously the program is banged up physically, emotionally, all the things that go along with a 6-game losing streak, and it could very well get to 8 games if they don't turn things around starting with Iowa State this week at home. And then, of course, they got to go to Orlando to finish the season off. A super long trip on Black Friday out to UCF. Not a way that I think people want to end the season with not very much on the line here. Here's what Coach Whittingham said about the Colorado and Utah game on Saturday.
We weren't able to run the ball almost at all. I mean, we only had 31 yards on 30 carries, which abysmal. I mean, there's no way to win a football game with that rushing production. 4 turnovers, another problematic area that's been consistent this year. Defensively, inability to make plays on the ball up the field. They had a terrific wide receiving core, best we faced by far. They made plays up the field. Number 12 is as advertised. He's a bona fide All-American and one of the best players in college football. The quarterback is terrific. Extra meetings within the rules, of course, but extra film time. He comes in on his own and watches a ton of film. So we're doing everything we can. He's doing everything he can to continue to develop and see things quicker. And that was another issue in the game, particularly early on. It got better as the game wore on, but holding the ball too long and need to go through those reads and spit it out or tuck it and run.
So there's his comments on that Colorado game, including at the end there, the Isaac Wilson dilemma that they're in right now. One, he's sick, walking up a couple days to this game. He's only able to practice half of the week, and then starts to turn the corner the night before on the health. And it's like, but I'll tell you, I mean, obviously, he's not just your best option. He's one of your only options at quarterback at this point. But you didn't want to trot out somebody else. I mean, the reality was they just don't have anybody else at quarterback. And Isaac, for all the misgivings and the 3 picks were pretty ugly. I still know that he has, I think, all the tools, right? He's the right size. He's got good arm strength. You saw the throw that he put over Travis Hunter's head. But you nailed it, JJ. Like, how on earth do you win a football game in college football against Colorado, who's never been great at stopping the run? I know they've gotten better this year. But you put up 31 yards of of rushing of a rushing total on 30 carries. I've never seen a stat line like that. I've never seen something like that from a team from the University of Utah.
I mean, they lost 19 yards on Isaac Wilson, getting sacked, whatever. But ultimately, Mike Mitchell had 28 yards, Mekhi Bernard 20, Charlie Vincent 2. 31 yards is not good enough. And I cannot remember a Utah team in the 20 years I've covered this program have a day like that on the ground that was so poor and so ineffective against a team like the last team I would think of that would be stout on the run. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for Colorado now. They have earned it. They are a great team. But I don't know that I respect them in the trenches yet.
Oh, right. No. They still give up
have
a lot of sacks
to show there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you saw it. I mean, Utah's defense really got after Shedeur Sanders in a way that you don't. Well, he actually has been chased around quite a bit. But Utah really put a lot of pressure on him and forced him into some turnovers. Utah just couldn't take advantage of it because their offense stinks. It's tough. Now on Isaac, I've seen him play incredible. In high school, his senior year, he was phenomenal. A true dual threat quarterback. I don't understand why it's gone so poorly this year for him. They're going to have to evaluate that in the offseason. I don't even evaluate him on Saturday outside of the impressive throws he had, considering he had the flu, and 102-degree temperature and all that stuff. He had, obviously, the flashes. Flashes are not good enough. They're not good enough. You have to be consistently great at this level to lead a team to a winning season, to achieve championships, to make it to the college football playoff, all these things that are your goals. You need consistency from the quarterback position. Even BYU found, in a game that they should have won, Jake Retzloff wasn't good enough on Saturday.
Right.
He made some mistakes. That's not to say he hasn't had a great year, but that was a game where he struggled. And now you're looking at Isaac Wilson, and like you, I see the potential. He's a true freshman. So many unfair things happened to him this year, but that's just, you could look at it the other ways. This was a golden opportunity for a true freshman to come in here and show everybody who he was and what he could do, and it's not gone well. And who's to blame for that? I'll let Utah decide, but the bottom line, if you're honest, looking at this full big picture, it's not gone well. There were great moments on Saturday, but there was missing Landon King wide open in the seam. I know he was sick, so I'm like, how do I evaluate this?
Yeah.
But what it comes down to for me is, before we move on to the next topic, is because you're going to talk next about the offensive coordinator situation. Utah's got to go quarterback shopping this offseason. I'm sorry. Give Isaac Wilson a true redshirt year next year. I'm serious. Let him develop, get his confidence back, do some things that are going to help him develop. And he didn't need to be thrown out there this year.
Get Sam Heward out there?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I still don't think there's a quarterback on the roster currently that's good enough to lead them where they need to go. They are going to have to go out quarterback shopping. Abandon the whole Cam Rising thing. This idea that he's going to come back for an 8th year. Stop that. Go out and get you a dude this offseason that can play day one and lead you to wins. And then you can feel confident about the Brandon Rose development or the Isaac Wilson development or the Sam Heward development, whatever it is. But those guys are developing. You need somebody who has developed if you're Utah. Or you're going to be 4-8 or 6-6 next year.
Yeah. Let me the big thing at the press conference today was everything that didn't have to do with the Colorado game and even getting ready for Iowa State. It's what's going to happen next year. And here's what Witt said about the offensive coordinator spot. It wasn't avoiding that question. It was they are full on the search for offensive coordinator. Here's what he had to say.
That's going on right now, evaluating, what we're doing, what's attractive candidates outside the program. I'm evaluating everything right now and getting the short list ready. But that'll be job one, as soon as the timing is right to get that filled. Recruits want to know who the coordinator is going to be, and that's something that we will need to have solved sooner rather than later.
Pretty wild, right? Wild isn't the right thing. It's so unlike Kyle Whittingham to talk about a coaching search while the season is going on still. Just let that sit with you for a second, right? Kyle Whittingham doesn't talk about coaching searches while the season's going on.
No.
We'll have to worry about that in the offseason. That's something we're going to obviously take a look at, but no, we're not talking about that right now because, the season's still going. I want to make sure that we focus for our seniors and blah blah. None of that. And by the way, it is senior night on Saturday or it is Saturday. So that's what's wild to me. Is this crazy notion that, it's gotten so bad that Kyle Whittingham is – it's not to say that he's moved on totally from the year because you still have 2 games to go. But, man, they are chomping at the bit to be done with this one. Here's what he said, too, though. This was also fascinating, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Here's what he said about Morgan Scalley in that role and hiring the offensive coordinator.
Very involved, very involved. Yep, very involved, and it would be an injustice if he wasn't. And so, given our situation, he's working side by side with me.
All right, so I was shocked that he brought up, not really shocked, because obviously he would be.
I wasn't shocked at all.
But do you think that that's more of an indicator of where Kyle's head's at going forward if he's saying, because obviously Morgan Scalley being involved in the hiring of an offensive coordinator, it's because he's going to be taking over as that head coach at some point. Is that in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? Is it
right?
Even this offseason that we see that Kyle Whittingham says he doesn't want to keep doing this.
I wouldn't look into that too much as what the timeline of Kyle Whittingham's departure is going to be from the head coach position. I don't think that's related. The truth is, you want to go out and hire an offensive coordinator that's going to be here longer than 1 or 2 or 3 years. You're trying to change. You're trying to take this opportunity to find your new offensive identity. And it's clear that Morgan Scalley is going to be the head coach when this offensive coordinator is still here. At least that's your hope, right? Why would you hire an offensive coordinator that's just going to be here as long as Kyle is? That makes no sense. So, of course, Morgan Scalley should be involved in the hiring. In fact, I would say Morgan Scalley should have the final say in it, because that guy's going to be Morgan Scalley's offensive coordinator when he takes over as head coach.
Well, they
whether it's in
so.
2025 or 2026 or 2027.
Are they going to go?
We don't know.
Are they going to go drastic change on the offensive coordinator? Like to go full on like we're a spread offense now.
I don't know what they want their offensive identity to be, but they better have one, A, and B, it better be explosive. Because what is keeping Utah from taking things to the next level? It's craptastic offense when you've got an amazing defense. Even this year's defense. Even on Saturday, you look at the 49 points that are on the board, half that was the offense's fault, if you're being brutally honest. The defense gave the offense opportunities. They gave them the ball. They forced 3 turnovers. Utah couldn't take advantage of it.
Right.
The offense, it was craptastic. Fix the offense, pair it with that dynamic defense.
Oh, my goodness.
And you can start pumping kids out and put them in the NFL and winning Big 12 championships or whatever league they're going to belong in down the road. But find an identity. They didn't have one this year. They didn't have one last year.
That's craptastic.
If your program is one guy, you're not very good. If you depend on the health of Cam Rising to be successful, you got a problem. You can't just rely on one guy.
Wild.
You have to have depth. How many good teams do we see lose a quarterback or have an injury take place, and it's next man up? How many times does Kyle Whittingham tell us about next man up? Well, guess what? They haven't had a next man up for the last 2 years. Because their quarterback play has been atrocious.
Hey, if you go over to KSLSports.com, you can take a listen and a read as well on KSLSports.com to read about what this BYU team is doing to go forward after their first loss of the year. Because Kalani thinks, hey, man, this is it's an interesting thing. How are they going to react to this? How's his team going to react? I think this is going to be just as big of a test as as staying undefeated. It's like, how are you going to react after that first loss of the season and playing probably the toughest team you've played all year long? Save maybe a couple of different. I mean, even now to get ASU at the spot that they're at, there are a lot of arguments for. Yeah, but you got SMU when you got them, and that was lucky. You got K-State maybe when you got them, and that was good too. The reality is that Coach Kalani Sitake, here's what he said, because the mistakes, obviously they had to take a look at them on film and learn from them and then move right on from them. Here's what he said.
The key to execution is just eliminating the mistakes. There shouldn't be any mistakes, whether it's alignment issues or technique issues or even running the wrong route or not doing the correct assignment. So all that should be cleaned up. But there's also some room for improvement where you can actually install some stuff. You want to have a foundation of stuff that you're good at, you can lean on, but that's the stuff that everybody knows is coming. So you have to have that, and you have to have a little bit installed that gives you the favorable matchup depending on who you're going against. And the offense, they're getting in the red zone. We just got to score touchdowns. It's hard to get in the red zone and only kick field goals. Even though you have a good kicker like Will Ferrin, you're going to need to score points and score touchdowns and finish the drives. It gives you a little bit more motivation and a little bit more oomph when you're trying to get it done. We'll get there. I feel good about this matchup this weekend and the lessons that we can learn from this last game.
If they beat Arizona State down there in Tempe, I think attitudes will change completely about this team of, yeah, but all the yeah buts, I think, would go away because that's one of the better teams in the conference right now. I say right now because they have one of the best records in the conference. They're the ones knocking at the door to get into the college. What's on the line for them is the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah.
If they have to win out to even have a shot, right? And so they are going to be absolutely foaming at the mouth here. Here's what he said about the offensive struggles. It wasn't just the offense; it was also the red zone stuff. But here's what he said about the offense in particular.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things. Poor execution, communicating better. And that's what it comes down to. But he also give credit for Kansas for making the plays. I mean, that's just part of the game. That's the game of football. Everybody would like to be perfect and be 100%. And the key is you have chances, you have opportunities to make plays. It's really difficult when you turn the ball over in that situation. The worst case scenario, you come up with 3 points from it, and then it's a successful drive. It's really hard when you come away with nothing.
Lots of stuff to work on, right? Obviously. Lots of things they got to do to button it up and to try to figure out. You got to be aggressive. What I didn't like about Saturday's game, JJ, was how the pace of it made for a kind of a bad watching experience. That was one thing.
It wasn't pretty.
It's a pretty ugly game on both sides of the ball from both of these teams. It came down to it came down to the last series, like it's done so many times with BYU, but it just felt flat. The stadium felt flat. The offense, obviously, for BYU had 3 points in the second half. They weren't doing anything.
What's the most memorable play for BYU from that game?
The wheel route to Ropati. There's the touchdown.
Okay.
The one touchdown.
There you go.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, that was it.
That's it.
And I thought the pick at the end by Mark Collins.
You think of the negative
pretty
stuff.
Good. No, I'm saying when Mark Collins got it. Yeah.
Did they take advantage of
No,
that?
that's the things that put him in a fascinating spot. Like, okay, now let's see it. And they still had another shot after that, and they still didn't make anything of it.
Right.
So, all right, here's we'll play this last one here about Kalani talking about bouncing back from the loss and how they're going to do it against ASU this week.
We're still sitting at the top of the conference, but all that stuff doesn't really matter. We just had to explain to them that we're focused on trying to win the next one. Learn our lessons from this. Praise the good things that happened. The system's still the same. Be humble and be hungry and be able to move on to the next one and get ready for Super Bowl 11. Obviously, Super Bowl 10 didn't go our way, but the outcome was in our favor or not. We have to be in this same situation. We got to move on to the next one and find ways to get better. You just can't let the sting of a game or the excitement and energy of win of a game affect the next week, and that's what we got to get back to. And I feel like this would be a good lesson for our guys and be a good moment for us to learn. And it's a really good position us to be in. That's why I love our partnership and our membership in the Big 12 is that we have this opportunity to keep playing, and there's a lot to play for still.
Speaking of which, Super Bowl 11, the actual Super Bowl 11, any guesses on who played in that one? Don't look it up. Don't be that guy.
Steelers, Cowboys?
11.
Yeah.
It's a little past the – I guess we run up to it. You should it
wasn't the Broncos Cowboys.
No, it was not.
That was Super Bowl 10, right?
1987.
1987.
Oh, sorry. No, that was 21. Sorry. Give me the hold on. I was wondering why I got my Roman numerals all scawampus.
Why do we still use Roman numerals, and why do they do that with the Super Bowl? Because it is very confusing.
It's classic.
Especially now that there's so many.
Ooh. You know what this one was?
What?
The Purple People Eater's not able to get it done.
Oh, Vikings Raiders?
Okay. You got it. It was John Madden special.
Okay. The Vikings lost
32-14. Yes, 32-14. So there you go. Yeah, Gene Upshaw.
That was quite a tangent.
That was pretty good.
That was quite a squirrel moment for you.
Well, I was just thinking, actual Super Bowl 11 versus like saying that this is Super Bowl 11 this weekend.
Well, you know what?
I know they've been saying it all year.
This is the biggest. I know the next game's the biggest game of the year. This is BYU's biggest game of the year. It's a top 25 game, and most likely the winner of this game goes to the Big 12 championship game, and the loser is likely out. BYU will not have a tiebreaker against Arizona State. They'll both have 2 conference losses, and if they both win in the last game of the regular season, guess who's going? Not BYU. So you got to go down to Tempe and win.
Oh, yeah.
And Chase Roberts just said today, like, we need to start.
We should have won that game by 30 or 40 points. We got to put up 30 or 40 against these guys. Come on.
When is the last time they did that? I mean, I guess you could say UCF was that game.
Yeah.
But that's not a good team.
Yeah.
When are you going to beat a team like just absolutely blow their doors off?
But they had a plan that game, and they went in and executed it. Too,
right. And they haven't done that 3 out of the last 4 games.
Felt very different.
They have been much more like the team that's been losing winning close games or losing the one on Saturday than they have the team at UCF. They need to go out and just absolutely hammer somebody and prove that they belong among these other college football playoff contenders. Because right now I can't say they do based on how close these games are and the way they played on Saturday. It doesn't feel good right now.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got more to go, including our NFL Blitz and a focus on the locals in the NFL who had a heck of a weekend. JJ is going to run through that for us and much more. So stay with us, 97.5 BKSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. It's your NFL Blitz. Don't miss your chance to win big every week, by the way, with the KSL Sports Zone. Win Ticket Wednesday, you could enter to win a pair of tickets to see the Goo Goo Dolls and Dashboard Confessional in their Summer Anthem Tour at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 26th of next year. Boom. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day. This Wednesday, we'll be giving away those tickets. So there you go. NFL Blitz. Big headlines. The Chiefs lose. They go to 9-1 on the year. More importantly, the Bills look like a fine suitor. Somebody who could show up and give the Chiefs all they can handle. And Josh Allen and his guys were ready. It was in Buffalo. They knew that there was going to be a chance that the Chiefs were winning close games all year. They were getting late field goals. They were 9-0. They run into a team that people are looking at and going, well, hold on a minute. This quarterback's a lot better. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So
I also like the Bills could have played it safe at the end of that game and kicked the field goal.
Oh, no.
It would have been a 6-point lead. What did they do?
Josh Allen ran that baby in, man.
They're like, screw it.
I love it, too.
We're winning this game, and I love it.
The Broncos, your Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
How about a 4-touchdown win?
Oh, Bo Nix. 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns.
Bad. I think you got
Hope you started him on your fantasy team.
I think you got a guy, bro.
I think we do. Love it.
The Steelers beat the Ravens. There was a quite aggressive text thread between you and me and Sly during that game because Justin Tucker missed 2 kicks, and Stevenson Sylvester not a huge Justin Tucker fan because of his career playing against.
That picture he shared with us is
pretty
amazing.
Phenomenal. It's him blasting Justin Tucker into oblivion.
His face is in the sand.
It's great.
It's just great.
It's amazing. But maybe the most impressive, quiet win of the day was the Lions going and beating the Jaguars 52-6.
They're a juggernaut.
They are. Look, Jared Goff had a perfect quarterback rating.
Yeah.
You don't get that.
He throws 5 picks last week, still wins. Then he comes back this week and does that.
Yeah. Whew. No, they're legit, man, and the Jags legitimately stink. Locals in the NFL, JJ, how did all of our local guys here do?
Got to start with Taysom Hill. What a day. New single-game career high for rushing yards with 138 and also rushing touchdowns with 3. He also caught a career-high 8 passes for 50 yards. He also completed a pass for 18 yards. He also added 42 kick return yards, and the Saints win over the Browns. That's 206 all-purpose yards. He's the first player in NFL history with 100 rush yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 50 receiving yards, and 10 passing yards in a game. Ever.
That's great.
Taysom Hill is doing things that no one else in NFL history has ever done.
I know Jordan Love and the Pack ended up getting another win. It's their 11th in a row against the Bears. That's not bad. That's owning the city of Chicago like Aaron Rodgers taught him to do before.
Jordan Love's their daddy now. 13 of 17, 261 yards, a touchdown through the air, a touchdown on the ground. They needed that block kick at the end to secure the win, but they got it done. Puka Nacua, 7 catches, 123 yards, and a touchdown, and the Rams win over the Patriots. You saw that catch.
It was the highlight catch of the weekend, I think, in the NFL, right?
Superman. Great catch. Awesome. Devon Vele for my Broncos, 4 catches, 66 yards. He's really emerging as a legit threat for Bo Nix in that offense. Devon Vele's having a nice, solid rookie season. Cody
was
Barton.
He undrafted or very late round?
7th round.
7th round.
And credit Sly again. He came on we did draft previews last fall. He says, Devon Vele is a 7th round guy, but he's going to make your roster. And he's done exactly what Sly said he was going to do. Cody Barton had a pick, his 2nd interception in that game. And how about this? A family reunion in Denver Sunday for the Ellis brothers. Caden Ellis had 9 tackles in a tackle for loss for the Falcons. His younger brother, Jonah, had a sack.
Nice.
That's got to be crazy.
That's
like
pretty
seeing
fun.
your brother on the other side of the field. What's
Was
it like for Luther?
it was in Denver, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, Luther just stayed and watched that game, right? Like, stayed in Colorado.
I imagine so. Makes sense, right? Why would he not? And, of course, Luther used to work for the Broncos, so just an awesome thing. Very, very cool. How many families get a chance to do that? So
0.
You got to give them love.
Well, that's not true. Lots of Utah families, the Bartons and the
you start going through names. Wait a minute now. One's in pretty, Zach Wilson obviously someday might be able to do that with Isaac. Who knows? But it's pretty cool.
Okay. Did I mention all those games? Oh, I didn't want to be. I wanted to kind of just throw this in there, a little humble brag about my Seahawks. Hey,
that was have to have it.
Oh, for sure. Because what
if
are they?
They
5
don't
and
win
5
that
now?
game, their season's over. They would have been 4-6 in that division.
What a mess
Good
that
luck.
division is, man.
Everybody's 5-5. You know who the best team in that division is?
Cardinals, and I hate it.
Are you kidding me?
Hate it.
There's only one team that's going to make the playoffs. So either the 49ers, the Rams, or the Seahawks. All 3 of those teams could miss the playoffs because they're all 500 or less. Well, they're all 500. They're all 5-5.
The crazy thing is that the 49ers are the only one that would be a massive underperformance. Everybody else is kind of like,
the Rams
nice.
making the playoffs last year with Puka's emergence. I think a lot of people expected the Rams to be better. Yeah, the Seahawks. I think they're coming back around. There was not a lot expected for the Seahawks, but the 49ers. I picked them to win the Super Bowl, and I'm not so sure that things are going well there.
Yeah.
That was a bad loss.
All right, we'll take a break. Nominate your youth sports volunteer for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Just submit that nomination at kslsports.com/contest. And we read that winner off the air of the nominations, and then they win a prize, a gift card from the folks at Hercules Credit Union, and $200 to Beehive Meals. So there you go. Boom. Let's do it. kslsports.com/contest for the Hercules Hero of the Week. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get you ready for the Utah the Utah Hockey Club. Firing it up tonight across the street here at Delta Center. Their barn against the Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin. Stay right here, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us on the show, everybody. Hey, best and worst brought to you by an incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram. Visit your Doug Smith family of dealerships in Linden, American Fork, and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug. All right, the best is, of course, it was announced on Saturday evening. Inside the NBA will now air on ESPN this year. That's wild. I'm glad. I hope that this keeps the dream alive. I hope Erner can figure out how to be a part of this thing long term. So, and can be. And if they're going to put it on ESPN, great. I just want this thing to live on, JJ. That's what I'm all about.
Agree.
Got to have Inside NBA. Got to have Chuck.
The NBA. I mean, what
Erner?
Like the NBA itself. Like
Shaq.
How into the NBA are we right now? Are you tuning in every night to watch NBA games?
They need these guys. You just got to add Stephen A. Smith now, and you'll be fine.
Stop.
Alex spoke it into existence.
Stop it.
It's going to happen. Now at the end of the day, Kenny. Yeah, it's me. Alex says it's going to happen, and Alex says it's going to happen. Boom. The worst is Brian Kelly, LSU's fearless leader and head coach, may have already worn his welcome out in Baton Rouge. Could you imagine?
Really?
I think they might have 3 buyouts on the table if that's the case. Not really.
So Les Miles and Ed Orgeron all won national titles at LSU, and all were ran out of town.
Yep. This is you not winning national championships and probably getting run out of town.
Wow. He had a Heisman Trophy winner last year, Jaden Daniels.
So then the videos start floating around of him getting in the face of his players on the sideline, which I'm always like, look, these guys, they have a different relationship with these coaches than we do. When Tom Izzo yells at his players, like there's part of me that goes, yeah, it's Tom Izzo, though.
They sign up for that.
Yeah. However, when the players come off the field and are yelling in his face, that was the video that caught people's attention.
Yeah.
That's a lack of respect. They get into Brian Kelly's face, and it's like, you might have lost this thing. All right. JJ's going to be on TV tonight, and we're going to bag things here. We're going to get you ready for The Utah Hockey Club taking on the Washington Capitals at Delta Center.
Highlights at 6 and 10 on the KSL 5 News.
Look at you. You got your TV outfit on and everything. All right.
I'm ready to go.
For our producer, Alex, I'm Alex, and he's JJ. We've got much more to go tomorrow. Don't want to miss any of it then. We're going to have all of our interviews and everything just like we do all week on JJ and Alex. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.